you're creating like an amazing interactive Google of Shakespeare rather than Shakespeare himself because you're not literally recreating who he was. Does that make sense?
You said that very well again. Yes, exactly.
I'm on a roll today,
yeah,
apparently.
I mean, you know, I had conversations with Socrates.
All right, I have so many questions here, but let's start at the root of it. How do you go about, just to keep an example on it, how do you go about building Shakespeare the Professor? Do you just take every word he ever wrote and every biography ever written about him and like upload it to the AI and have it amalgamate all that to create a character? How does it happen?
Yes. You said that very well. And it's not hard, but it's not easy. You in a large language model, you can get everything he wrote, which is very small when you compare it to the masses of books. The AI have 130 million books. Shakespeare, what he's got, a few dozen,
Right.
maybe a few hundred. Right. But you get those down. He is trained on them, completely those. And he can answer instantly any question about anything he wrote. And he'll be able to go step by why he wrote what he wrote and why he did this and why he did that. So we'll be able to explain his theme and the plot to each of his pieces. And he will know those things because he has all of that information at his fingertips.
So, I mean, it's wildly fascinating and can definitely give a lot of information out. But there's something, I've been talking to you about this very shortly before we got on camera, but I'll expand upon it now that we are on camera. There's something about this that's like reminiscent of some of the same questions I have for my friend Ben Lamb, who's building that company called Colossal, which is trying to remake the Woolly Mammoth and just remade the Dire Wolves. And one of the things I've talked about with him is that it's very hard to evolutionarily recreate something that's been extinct. So if you look at the woolly mammoth, you may be able to get some DNA sequencing using CRISPR that recreates something that looks exactly like the woolly mammoth, walks like the woolly mammoth, the whole bit. But it's very hard to build in the millions of years of evolution that happened in their actual environments that shaped how that DNA got to where it is. So when you're looking at a Professor Shakespeare, it's not a sentient Shakespeare. It's not, you didn't take Shakespeare's brain from the ground and actually like check the DNA of it and rebuild his brain. You took all the publicly accessible, what was written down information and amalgamated it into what would be the closest thing. But effectively, you know, would you say you're creating like an amazing interactive Google of Shakespeare rather than Shakespeare himself because you're not literally recreating who he was? Does that make sense?
You said that very well again. Yes, exactly.
I'm on a roll today,
yeah,
apparently.
I mean, you know, I had conversations with Socrates, with Julie, and it was like I was talking to him. He said, let me tell you about me. My mother was a midwife. And my father was a stonemason, and I was born here, and I did there, and I was doing this, and this is how I got interested in philosophy, and this is how I developed this, and this is my thinking on that. So he's having a conversation with us, and we can then stop him and say, Socrates, what do you mean by wise ignorance? That sounds weird, and he explains it to us. And Julie's sitting there, and he came across this word called labyrinthine. Labyrinthine. He used that word, and Julie said, what does he mean by labyrinthine? I said, Professor, just a minute. You've used the word labyrinthine, and I'm sitting here with Julie. Julie's my slave. And he never blinked because in Athens they had slaves. I said, my slave Julie doesn't know what the word labyrinthine means. He said, oh, I'm sorry, Julie. Picked up her name like that. Of course, it was all programmed. I'm sorry, Julie, let me explain that to you. A labyrinthine means it's very complex and you don't have an answer. You're getting lost within the complexity, and that's what labyrinthine means. And she gets and say, well, give me an example of that. And he responds right back. So these people are, you know, you can get fanciful about this, like these are human creations. They're not. It's all AI. But believe me, they feel. And they feel a sense. When I was talking to Socrates, I got to know him better than any professor who's been talking to me about Socrates. Now, I've heard professors talk about Socrates, and but there's something magical about this appearance, this picture. It's a bit like a movie, you know that these people don't really exist, but you can get moved by them if they're good. And these professors will be really great.
It's an immersive experience in a way.
It was definitely immersive. I mean, you're talking to the man, and he's giving it to you straight. No biases. It's just pure education.
Do you worry about the death of human interaction? And it's not just this, it's everything. I mean, we see the speed of light with which AI is moving now, but this is an amazing creation. And yeah, we just spent a half hour or whatever talking about all the issues, for example, right now with regular colleges and, the people that work there sometimes. But isn't there something to be said about the ability for student and teacher to form an actual, student-teacher relationship that goes beyond what technology could possibly replace?
You're right about that. You're right. The human interaction, you can't beat it. I mean, we think Zoom is great, and it is. But when you get people together in a room, it's a different dynamic. And it's the same thing with education. What we're going to do to help with that, every student that comes on is going to have a study partner. And so they will develop a relationship, a human relationship with another student. So
student on student.
Student on student. So that will be required. The other thing, we'll have meetups in the major cities around the world, whether it's Los Angeles or Delhi or Shanghai, wherever that we'll get enough students, they can meet up and talk to each other.
So these aren't going to be physical campuses at all. It's all online.
Everything is totally virtual or online. Yeah.
Do you think that loses some of the experience, though, in the sense that part of going to college is, living away from home for the first time for most of us, actually being in a different environment, being in your own ecosystem in that way? Do you feel like that gets lost?
There's going to be benefits to both of the systems. Our system will have benefits such as completely accessible anywhere in the world and an affordable price to anybody. There'll be no student debt.
No debt.
No debt whatsoever. The tuition will be in America a few $100s a month, but in Rwanda or in Africans, we'll lower the tuition to that particular country's economics. Right. So it'll fluctuate in the world. The idea is to get tens of millions of students all over the world. Anybody can do it at a price they can afford, and so forth. So that's the benefit of this. But the interaction that you can get from going to a great university, mixing with other students in that will continue and should continue, and is great. But most people cannot take the time. They don't have the money to travel across the country and get into student houses and pay tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to go to these great countries. But they can afford a few $100s a month, a car payment if you like.
Yes.
And this will be this kind of education. Now,
how many years, by the way? Is it a 2-year degree, 4-year degree?
It's a 4-year degree, but probably could be done in 2 or 3 years. Because one-on-one is just so much faster.
Oh, so it's literally going to be one-on-one with the AI, and then, maybe 2-on-1 if you have the student partner with you.
No, it'll be one-on-one. I guess you could have a partner with you. You could sit down with somebody else, but mostly it's one-on-one, and you're going through an exact designed process to learn. I mean, Socrates is going to teach you all the essentials of his philosophy. That's the other thing. We're not going to be teaching fluff or nice to know something. It will be the essentials of each professor. If they want to go on and study and they want to do some other things, that's fine. But this is going to be straight education, just if you like, just the facts, ma'am, just what it is, and they'll go from one step to another in a 4-year program done in 2 or 3 years.
So Socrates grades your papers, grades your tests, and things like that. Your one-on-one AI partner does all that.
We're going to be competency based, so rather than grade based. You don't advance until you've demonstrated mastery. And there will be a constant competency check as you go through. Let me be sure that you understand the lesson that we've just done. Explain to that in your own words. Now, Socrates actually did with us. He said, what do you mean? What do you understand by the word wise ignorance? And I answered him in my own words. And he said, no, that's not right. Let me explain it again to you. So he explained it again to me. because I had misstated it. So there'll be those competency checks as they go through the program. And what you'll get at the end of it is I'm mastered these knowledge and skills rather than a series of grades on the transcript. There'll be a list of these knowledge and skills.
So it's not as much like, is this going to be scheduled in the sense that you have class at 9 a.m. or you have class at 12 p.m. and it's going to go this long for a semester? Or is it more just at your own speed work with the AI?
It'll be accessible 24/7, but there will be some structure in terms of how much time they need to spend on, they'll be full-time student. They need to put in so much time online to keep moving. And if they're faltering, then we will intercede and say, you're having a problem. Is there something going on? So we'll have a student guide who will check in with you and say, have you run into a problem? We've missed you. Come on back in. So we'll keep them moving and motivated.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.